Hey everyone, welcome back to Sham's Makeup Artistry. It's time to share my August favorites with you guys. Yes, the year is passing on so quickly, and I just felt like I filmed my July favorites and shared it with you guys, and it's now time for me to share my August favorites. So without further ado, let's just get started. I do have a couple of stuffs to share with you right here. So let's start with a face primer that I have been enjoying throughout the month of August, and it is by Bobbi Brown. I'm sure you have heard about this face primer all over social media. I have been loving this primer on the days that my skin kind of looks dull, and sometimes I feel certain foundation doesn't glide on well on my skin when it's a little bit more drier than usual. But with this face primer, every foundation glides so smoothly and they wear so beautifully on the skin. So I've been really enjoying this face primer, and this is their vitamin enriched face base. It does contain shea butter, vitamin C and E, and this face primer, I don't know what's about it. It's very emollient kind of texture, but when you apply it on the face, it absorbs very quickly into the skin. And this is how the texture of the face primer looks like, and the scent of it is amazing. It's so soothing, so when you put it on your face, you feel really refreshed. So I do not put my fingers into it, so I just get a spoolie like this. I get a tiny bit amount from this face primer and then I dab it over my face area. This is a little bit on a higher price point, but I feel that it's so worth it. If you have dry to combination skin, you definitely want to check this out. Even if you have oily skin and you want your skin to look evenly moisturized, you may want to try out this face primer. So excuse my hair, it's like kind of like on a messy mood day. So moving on to foundations, I of course have not been able to put down my Dior foundations. Those are the foundations that I always lean towards. But for the month of August, I have been using my Teint Idole Ultra Stick Foundation for the most part of the day, because I feel that this is so easy. I just apply this very little over my face and then I use my Real Technique brush to buff it in. I kind of feel that a stick formulated foundation is so easy, especially if you're on the go. And this one kind of stays put the entire day, and I don't have to touch up my face, or I don't have to worry that it slides off my face. Even though I do have a combination to dry skin, over my T-zone area is where I get oily and then it transfers all over my face. Sometimes certain foundation does end up looking really oily on my skin, but this one stays well and I really love the stick formula. Moving on to the other foundation that I've been enjoying is the Maybelline 24 Hours Superstay Full Coverage Foundation. I am in the shade Toffee Caramel 330. This foundation claims that it has a full coverage and it lasts up to 24 hours. Of course, I've not worn this foundation for 24 hours, but I've been loving this foundation. A little goes a long way, and I personally feel that I just put on one dab here, all over the spots, and then I blend it in. I'm good to go. I do not like to layer up too much product over my skin, especially when the weather is still in the summer kind of position. When I tend to layer up too much of products over my face, it kind of looks very messy, especially on the day that it's really sunny or heaty, if that does make sense. So I did pick out the Maybelline Superstay. This is their multi-use foundation stick. I believe I picked out the same shade, which is Toffee Caramel, and I'm actually giving this a try. This is the foundation that I'm wearing on my skin right now, so I haven't really come out with a verdict yet, but you will definitely see a review of mine on this stick foundation. Again, I'm all about easygoing stick foundation, so this one definitely got me into it because I do love their liquid base foundation. So next, let's move on to face concealers. I have not been able to put down this concealers. I find that thus far this has to be my most favorite concealer formula, and it's from Too Faced. This is their Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer. I got the shade Warm Sand as an highlight shade, and another shade which is Chestnut. It's more of like a corrector shade for my under eye area and the side of my mouth. I totally love this concealers, and I would recommend this concealers to any one of you. If you do not know already, I do have like a dry under eye area, so sometimes concealers end up looking very cakey, very dry, and they show my crow fits through. But with this concealers, I have not had the problem. I do have certain techniques that I like when I'm using this concealers. You might have been able to see it already because I did a tutorial before I post my favorites, so I'll link that video down on the description bar below. I kind of like using it with my fingers. I dab it on my under eye area. On the other areas of my face, I just use a beauty blender, but on my under eye area is where I need additional coverage, so I blend it with my finger and then I leave it to get it a little bit more warm under the eye, and then I go on with a beauty blender. I personally feel that it gives me additional coverage, and I also feel that it looks very flawless underneath the eye. So I've been loving those techniques. So you may want to check out these concealers if you have not already. They are seriously one of the best concealers. Alrighty, I am not into cream contouring, or I'm not into too much of contouring. I always have very simple ones, which is much more workable and wearable on daily basis. But I did get a chance to try out the Infallible Longwear Shaping Stick by L'Oreal. And this one is in the shade Chestnut, which is 411 Maroon. I don't know how is it maroon, but it's a shade called Chestnut Maroon. And I have been really loving this cream concealers. Again, I do have a tutorial of myself using this one. I'll link it down on the description bar below. And these cream concealers are amazing. They blend in so easily because I don't want something that it takes so much of effort to blend it in. With this one, you don't have to. I just like applying this over my cheekbone area, and then I use a brush to buff it in, and then I bring all the rest of the product, I dab it over my face area. And truly I really like this Infallible Longwear Shaping Stick. You must try this. If you're on a deeper skin tone, and you probably know the pain of getting the exact shade when it comes to contouring or bronzing, but this one is a perfect one. If you're more of like my skin tone, you may want to try this out. You do not need to spend much when it comes to this sort of stuff. I personally feel that this is pretty good for a drugstore brand, and I personally feel that this sort of packaging are very handy, and it's also easy to travel with, and they work really well, so why not? Now let's move on to eyeshadows. I do have 3 palettes to share with you. It's much more very repetitive of some of the stuffs that I've been using, but I've been trying out some new eyeshadow palettes which I haven't come out with a verdict yet, but I'll be sharing them with you very soon. So one of the palette that I've been enjoying throughout the month of August has to be Sassy Sienna by Dose of Colors. This palette is such a go-to kind of palette for me. They pretty much are all matte shades, and they are so easily wearable on everyday kind of basis. I love most of the shades. I kind of lean towards the 3 Lush shades here, and the other shades I do use, but the 3 Lush shades has to be my most favorite, like an everyday kind of blending in shade. Mostly every single day I'm into like just blending one shade, and then I put one shimmer shade on my lids and I'm good to go. So these are the shades that I used the most for the month of August, and these eyeshadows, they blend like a dream. Dose of Colors has to be one of my very favorite brand. I personally feel that they always come out with a very good stuff. They come out with the best quality they can always. So this has to be one of it, and I'm not sure whether it's still available, but if it is, definitely pick it up. The next eyeshadow palette that I've been enjoying is my Soft Glam eyeshadow palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is how the palette itself looks like. It kind of like got dirty everywhere because that kind of shows the proof that you've been using the eyeshadow palette, so which is good. But I've been really enjoying this one. I did purchase the Norvina eyeshadow palette, which I'm waiting for it to arrive, so I'll let you guys know what I think about it. I was very hesitant, and I finally dipped myself into it. So let's see how it fares in my hand. But this one has to be one of the best that I have ever gotten myself from Anastasia Beverly Hills. The shades are all so beautiful, and I totally love this palette. I use most of the shades that are in this palette, and I love this eyeshadow palette. So I've not been able to put this one down. The next eyeshadow palette that I have not been able to put it down has to be the Urban Decay Born to Run eyeshadow palette. I'm pretty sure you guys are bored of me showing this eyeshadow palette, but I have been seriously enjoying this one, and this is how the eyeshadows inside the palette looks like. You can see that I've dug into one typical bronzy shade, which is my kind of shade, but I definitely want to work with other shades as well. I cannot just buy the palette just to use one particular shade. I have to like slowly work it on with all the other shimmery shades that are in this palette. But overall, it's a beautiful palette. Among the Urban Decay palette, there are many Urban Decay palettes that I have owned, and many of them they just lie down on my many of them they just lay down in my vanity after some time, but this one is not. But this one I've not been able to just like ditch it, because I feel that it's a little bit more different than their typical Urban Decay eyeshadow kind of palette. Now let's move on to one mascara that I got to share with you. One is my favorite and the other one is kind of like an update. So my favorite mascara for the month of August has to be from Hourglass, and this is their Caution mascara. And I love this mascara. They kind of lengthen the eyelashes so beautifully, and I am not a person who likes to wear fake lashes, so when it comes to mascara, I'm always looking for something that can give me the effect of fake eyelashes, and this one has to be it. I hate when mascaras tend to clump on the eyelashes. Sometimes some mascaras, they work beautifully when it comes to lengthening and so forth on, but they clump so badly, and I do not like that. And I think any one of us would not like the mascaras to clump, because when mascaras tend to clump on your eyelashes, it kind of makes you feel very uneasy, if that does make sense. But this mascara is amazing. You got to try this out. The wand itself is nothing like extravaganza, but it does work wonders for your lashes. Now another mascara that I'm going to share with you is more of like an update, and it's by Milk Makeup, and this is their Kush mascara. This mascara was hyped everywhere on the social media. That's how I got myself into getting it. Like I've mentioned, I am into mascaras that can give me the length, can give me the fake eyelashes kind of look. But when it came to this mascara, it does give your lashes beautiful length, and it gives volume to the lashes, but it clumps. I have been trying so many times to get myself working with this mascara, but somehow it clumps on my eyelashes, and I do not like that. So I do like the length effect, I do like the volume effect, but I do not like the fact that it clumps on my eyelashes. Now moving on to blushes, I have two blushes to share with you this month. The very first one is from Laura Mercier, and this one is in the shade Lush Nectarine, and I've been really reaching out for this blush for the entire month. It does look like a peachy orange kind of shade, but it blends in so beautifully on the skin, and I've been like dabbing this blush like crazy over my cheek area. And with this blush, you do not need to wear any kind of highlighter, because it does give like a very nice luminosity to the skin. Unless you are an highlight kind of person, then you may want to like put on more highlighters on the top of a blusher. But if you're not like an highlight kind of person, this blush will do it all. Moving on to the next blusher, it's from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is their blush trio in the shade Berry Adore. This is the very first one that I got myself from Anastasia Beverly Hills, from their blush line. I have been like eyeing it every single time I walk into Sephora, and finally I got it, and I've been loving this one. This one has three different shades. This one is much more like a berry shade, and this one's like much more like a pinky berry shade, and this one is much more like a peach shade. This is the shade that I'm wearing over my cheek area. It looks very much like a peachy orangey shade, but I did dab a fair amount because I did not like put too much of blusher on today, which I usually do. And this is the very first shade that is in this palette, which is really intense, and it looks beautiful. I think it will wear very beautifully during the fall. The next one here, which looks like this, is also beautiful rosy shade. Oh wow, very beautiful. It does have like a satin sheen to it, and the last one is pretty matte. The first one does have like shimmery sparkle, but it doesn't transfer. The second one is more of like a satin finish, and the third one is like a matte satin kind of finish, which looks like this. So I've been really liking this formula, and again, like I mentioned, this is the first time I'm trying out. I will definitely try out other shades from them as well. For highlighters this month, I've been keeping it very simple, back to my previous ones. My Bobbi Brown, this is their highlight powder in Bronze Glow, which I've mentioned on my previous favorite, and also my Dior. This is their Dior Skin Nude 10 Transset Edition. So it's more of like a previous month favorite. I love this on everyday basis. You can wear it like to bam up your face, and you can also tone it down. Today I'm actually wearing the Dior Transset highlighter over my face area, and you can see this is how the highlight pulls on my face area. It's very subtle on the skin. That's what I like about it. And I personally feel on a day that is really humid, if you tend to put on too much of highlighters over your face area, it looks like it's very crunchy and kind of dusty and kind of messy over your face. So I personally do not like that kind of feeling over my face area. And now let's move on to lip stuff. So the very first lip stuff is from Maybelline, and this is Maybelline's Superstay Matte Ink in the shade 70, which is Amazonian. I'm actually wearing this lip shade over my lip area, and I love this formula. I feel that it wears so comfortable on the lips. It doesn't really dry the lips into like a crunchy kind of feeling, and I love the shade. I do not need to put any kind of lip liner with this, so I'm totally happy with that, because most of the shades I have to put a lip liner and then I have to apply it, and then it looks pretty well on my skin. I personally feel that this would wear so beautifully on every skin tone. It's like a peachy brown nude for any skin tone, and again, they do wear very comfortable on the lips. So if you are on a hunt for something from the drugstore which wears matte on your lips, you may want to check this out. It doesn't really feel matte, it does feel tacky though, but it doesn't dry the lips. The next lip stuff is from Smashbox. The reason I had to share this with you is like, I've done a huge achievement by finishing up this liquid lipstick. So how much have I loved you that I'm gonna pick up another one. So this one is the Smashbox Always On Liquid Lipstick in the shade Stepping Out. I love this one. I don't know what's about it, but I've ended up using it. So it's like a huge thing for me, and I can actually swatch it for you. This is how it looks like. It's a beautiful shade, and it would wear so beautifully on every skin tone. The best one ever. When it comes to liquid formula, this one is hands down the best. I love it. The best. Lastly, I'm finishing up my August favorite with a setting spray, and it's by Urban Decay. This is their all-nighter makeup setting spray. It's a long-lasting setting spray, and it's an oil-free, paraben-free, temperature-controlled technology. So I got the mini version of it, which is like handy. I just put it into my handbag and I'm good to go with it. And I love this spray because it keeps my makeup at bay. I truly swear by it. Whenever I skip applying this on a humid day, I kind of feel that my makeup ends up looking very oily. But whenever I spray this and then I go out doing whatever I need to, and when I come back home and I look at myself in the mirror, I feel that you have totally protected me out of those heat. They kind of like keep your makeup just looking so fresh, and I totally love this. And these sprays are made by Scandinavia. Of course, Scandinavia, they're very well known for the setting sprays. So this one has to be another boom bang. So that's about it for August favorites. If you did enjoy my August favorites, do give me a thumbs up, and do not forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Once we reach 12K, we definitely will be doing a giveaway. To my very next one, stay beautiful both inside and out, and I'll see you guys again. Goodbye.